Good evening, Tams. I thought now that I was thinking about it and remembering it, it might be a wise idea to finish the first chapter of the book. Um, and the chapter is entitled Compassion, the Radicalism of This Age. There are only 2 pages. As a traditional Hindu, Gandhi had a solid metaphysical basis for this, and he liked to quote a traditional proverb: as with the fragment, so with the universe. Otherwise put, the macrocosm is in the microcosm. Everything that exists out there exists in here, as philosophers say in Potentia. Quantum physics, mystics, the world's faith traditions, and a lurking suspicion in all of us in our more reflective moments keep returning to this vision again and again. But this belief is much more than an injunction against killing. Its real value lies in the entirely positive reason for the injunction, namely, that within the microcosm, that is, each one of us, are the seeds of the whole world order. Just as we build our bodies on ridiculously small fractions of our DNA and use a similarly ridiculous fraction of our brain, somehow, in the depths of our consciousness, each of us contains enough information, faith, insight, to regenerate a world. Today, as the world is torn by the ethnic and pseudo-ethnic hatreds, it seems necessary to go over these truths, however obvious they may sound. It is obvious that people caught up in such ferocious hatred are often found in what was once Yugoslavia cannot remotely remember that they might share an undying unity with those they hate. They see only differences which then take on monstrous proportions and finally bring about the belief that others aren't humans. Today it is terrorists, yesterday communists, who were beyond the pale of rights and the discourse of reason. Who knows what may be next? Early in May of 1998, several members of Iraq's sanctions challenge stood at the bedside of Mustafa, one of at least a dozen dying children, in a crowded ward of a main hospital in Barsa, Iraq's southernmost port city. My friend Kathy Kelly was on that mission, and she writes, his mother, tall, thin, and quite beautiful, sat cross-legged on the mattress beside him, waving away flies. As the doctors explained to us that the child hospitalized for the past 20 days now suffered from dehydration, diarrhea, acute renal failure, and extensive brain atrophy. Lacking equipment and medicine to diagnose and treat Mustafa, the doctors could only stand by helpless and frustrated while the child's condition worsened over 3 weeks' time. If Mufasa survives, he will be severely crippled. Iman Nouri, his mother, is 35 years old. Her serious eyes followed us as we paused before each bedside. She seemed surprised when we asked her to tell us about herself. We learned that she lives in a very rural area of Basra and has 2 children at home whom she misses very much. We mentioned that people in the United States were celebrating Mother's Day on this day and asked if she had a message for mothers in our country. Amma suddenly became animated. Yes, she said, I have 2 messages. First, tell them from Iraqi women that these are our children and we love them so much. Stroking Mustafa's face, she continued, ask them to please try to help us protect them and take care of them. And for American women, I want them to feel what I'm feeling. The word compassion means literally suffering with others, feeling what they are feeling. Of course it hurts, but it isn't better to suffer with others and expand than to wall off our humanity from them and die within. In Hebrew, the word for compassion is the plural for the word womb. To have compassion is to be towards someone a little bit like every mother is to her own child. Nonviolence is a way to restore the capacity to, as a student of mine said recently, humanize your enemy and let your enemy humanize you. You can do this in action where often the fact that you are being nonviolent, i.e., responding with courage and respect upon duress, raises your image in the opponent's eyes, or We can all do it culturally by raising the background sense of humanity that surrounds all conflicts and all relationships. The kind of hate we see in the Mideast, in Serbia, in Rwanda, Cambodia, and so many other areas would not arise so easily if the worldview which all these arenas are situated were more human-centered and humanizing. There would still be problems like water rights and social advantages, but they would be just that, problems to solve, not people to fear and hate. We need mind and heart together to get over this. Compassion, says the Dalai Lama, is the radicalism of this age. And I would add, nonviolence is its science.